Caucus. All right, first one, number one, resolution number one, calling for public hearing for 717 Blend Dinah Street. Is that yours, Joey? Or is that Maria?
Turn your mic on.
We got to talk into the mics, guys, especially tonight. There we go.
I'm not sure, Mark.
All right, anybody have a problem with Blend Dinah Street, 717 for public hearing?
That's Frank's, that's Frank's.
You're good? All right, number four.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll pass the public hearings and put the rest of them in committee.
There you
Yep,
go.
That's all we'll go.
All right, number four, approving the designation of Louis Hernandez eligible for qualified project sponsor for 717 Blend Dinah Street. All right, calling public hearing for 211 James Street. Is that yours, Delvin?
I'm cool.
All right, eligible qualified project sponsor, 211 James Street, we got that. Number seven, 319 Lansing Street.
319 Lansing Street's got to be the first district or the second?
I think it's first. We're good?
She didn't have any problem.
No, she didn't say nothing.
Nope.
Number eight, the same thing. Number 17, public hearing for 1111 Warren Street.
Okay, for Lansing Street.
Good?
Lansing Street's all- This is
All
good.
right.
Yeah, the amended merge is good.
Number 19, 1007 Lincoln Ave.
Yep.
Who's that?
Number 21, 128 Addison Place. That's you, Delvin.
Yeah.
Good? All right. Number 23, 139 Addison Place.
Yep.
All right. Okay, now, let's go to number one on the second packet, authorizing disposal of broken obsolete equipment. And we got that list, right? That updated version?
Yep.
Any questions on that?
This is so it's right here,
Going out of order? No, it's not.
The updated list was for the city vehicles, not the IT equipment. It's a
Okay.
different one.
It's IT equipment?
Yeah.
All right,
right? What's this list?
all right, we're good with that?
Ordinance one.
All right, the ordinance authorizes disposal of 4 police department vehicles. Any issues? All right, transfer of funds, that's from the contingency to the engineering contractual. Any issues on that?
What's the name? Anything? You said on.
So,
That was the
kind of
E&A.
add to this, but basically, we now have to come up to spec with funding all of the contractual 811 calls through the city. So, would you like to add more about the actual budget transfer itself? But that's for the purpose of this. So all the 811 calls we are paying for.
So 811 is a service that when you call 811, you're doing work in your property, you call them, they send someone out to put the little flags in as
Yeah.
to where all the utilities are. We were required to belong to the service. We did not. The state called us and said they would fine us if we did not belong. We had not been marking utilities for residents or any parcels here in the city. So we got a call, they would fine us if we didn't immediately join the service. We then spent a couple of weeks putting out an RFP, because Mike Mahoney was supposed to join us at WebEx, felt strongly that we didn't have the staff to go and do the flags and do, you have to use equipment to where the utilities are. So we did an RFP for a service that does other municipalities. There was only one respondent, and they began doing them. Mike estimated it would be $3,000 to $5,000 a month. We did not budget for it, but we had a choice of either hiring someone or utilizing the service for a minimum of a year to do the inspections. So we took a look at it, and Mike was going into surgery for his knee. He eventually, after he came out with a knee, he was sick and was in the hospital. We hired the service. We are now approximating about $25,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
I do have, if anybody's interested, I do have April's billings here to give you an idea of what we're paying for. So every time there's a water line break, every time someone puts a driveway in, as Mike did recently, he found he had to call 811 and they came. We have to pay for someone to go out there and mark that service. If it's on a weeknight, if it's on a weekend, we get to pay a great deal more money because it's an emergency service. And so Mike had no idea what it was going to cost. The mayor is now looking into hiring somebody, but we're tied in for 1 year. But even if we hire someone, that person is going to get paid overtime for nights and weekends. That means every time someone hits us, a traffic light or anything else, a traffic light, a street light, whether it's a night or a weekend, they also have to show up.
You just can't hire, you
So-
just can't hire one either, you gotta hire more than one.
I have a question.
So actually, I wanted to add something from the E&A perspective. So the bottom line is, we had to come up to spec, so we did make this transfer so that we could cover the cost now. They had to make the decision to bring on the service, but obviously, the billings we reviewed at the last E&A meeting, Heather provided them. Like she said, they're like 25 grand a month at this point. It might make sense, and I wanted to make sure we addressed the council with this. We need to make sure for next year's budget season, we need to assess if we either are going to bring in a person to do this versus the cost. We need to look at that cost benefit
100%
analysis.
we're gonna bring-
Exactly. Absolutely.
$25,000 a month?
Well, so here's the point, right? It's completely out of control. A fully loaded employee is anywhere between $80,000 and $130,000 a
You
year.
gotta have more than one.
So
You gotta
it's
have a
gonna
back-
make sense, it may make sense, once we look at not only the billings, but the way they run the reports, we'll know exactly how much work it's going to take for one person to do, so we can assess this. But it's a state mandate.
Can you clarify something for me? Well, no, I know Celeste.
So I had a couple of questions. So it's already the case that when the Parks Department goes in and grinds down a stump, they won't do it until it's been marked. So who's doing that now, or who was doing it until we started doing this? The Parks Department will not go in and grind, if we take out a city's tree and then you've got a stump, I've been told,
I'm
It's fixed
telling you,
now.
yeah, I'm telling you what Mike Mahoney told me.
What?
We're fixed. We have to do this.
no,
Well, there is some
I'm,
validity to this, which she's bringing up, because, and I asked the same question, I'm trying to get an answer on it. Last year, I thought my driveway was gonna get done. It didn't due to COVID and all that nonsense. But last year, I called 811, they came, they marked my driveway. Who did it? Who paid for it? Somebody did.
right.
Right.
In the,
So someone was marking things in the
Yes.
city of Utica when we
Someone
were
was
calling
marking
before we
things.
were digging. And I'm trying to figure out,
I think
well,
Frank's
that's what you
right. I
do.
think that they
That's-
call National Grid.
Take a look at the list.
Right,
Okay, the
right.
list is for sanitary stormwater,
Okay.
okay, and traffic lights. So we have sewer,
We have a
stormwater.
traffic signal department, am I right?
We do, but it's not just about traffic signal. So believe
no,
it or
this is
not-
any digging. It's digging.
No, I'm talking, you said earlier, if a traffic light went out, they call 811 and we have to have somebody,
Yes.
this company that we're hired out would have to respond. Why? We have a traffic division, we have,
I-
you can't answer
I
that.
can't answer that.
All right,
don't
I
think
could,
there's-
I understand the
understand
digging
question.
part.
I don't think there's that many traffic lights, but it's
Well,
a very
according to
valid
this,
question.
it looks like there is.
But
As far as the
also,
transfer
it-
goes-
They have to be, it isn't that they hit a traffic light, because we now own all the streetlights, there are wires that go to those streetlights, so when you go to dig in his driveway, they're looking for that too, that streetlight wire. It's not just electric, it's not just gas, it's not just stormwater, it's not just sewer, it's these other things.
But back to my question, it really is the case that we were checking before. that-
We weren't, the city of Utica was not checking.
No, but-
National Grid would come in and check for you.
Okay,
This is sewer, stormwater, traffic lights.
okay,
That's why if you look at that list,
Right.
you will see that, I think in the third column, you will see the service. We are not checking for National Grid.
okay,
Okay, National Grid is having that service do that for them too.
okay,
That's why you see different color flags.
okay.
I think if this is the number, is this the final number as to the number of calls, the 24?
No, that's the dollar number. If you look up above, it's
Does it go by
$15,
date?
$25, $75, depending what the service is.
Heather, what time frame is this? How long?
The month of April.
Yeah, this is a month.
You had this many calls in a month of April. They hit this many, they take out that many trees and hit that many streetlights?
No, it's the sewer
It's
too.
every water dig, every
Water-
time a water board needs to
This-
dig.
A lot of people like digging around.
Are you kidding me?
And
Every
it-
time.
this is for 1 month. The city has to, this isn't on the person.
And it's because because if people start digging, like Mike did it, Mike dug his driveway,
Maybe
and
they're
he
playing
hit a
money or
gas
something,
pipe and
never
blew
know.
up the neighborhood, right? That's why they have the municipality do it, they have to have the one person.
So my second question is, so let's say that, once we get this system up in place, how are we gonna communicate to property owners that don't be doing your driveway, don't be pouring a new foundation for your garage until you've called I mean, what's
No,
the,
that's already been,
They're already doing
no, that's out there.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So,
okay,
I'm sorry.
We were
just
just
a matter
not
of how
doing
we
it
were-
for sewer,
Yeah.
okay,
for
okay.
stormwater, for
Got it.
traffic lights,
Got it.
for streetlights.
So
Okay.
so where's the accountability measure?
Pardon?
Where's the accountability measure?
Well, right now, the engineering department is going through all of these line by line, so they're actually spot checking to make sure the dig actually happened.
I'm
They
saying,
actually found on some of these, there were Deerfield and New Hartford addresses, and that we were being charged inappropriately, so they are testing.
Well, this is, okay, that's the.
They did go through and test them.
So, let me ask you this question here. Why, for example, Baker Ave, okay? Same address, Baker Ave,
Look
Fi-
over to the third column.
5 calls,
Yep, what'll
and it's
be-
all the same thing.
No, it shouldn't be.
25, City of Utica, 13,
Does it not say like stormwater, traffic lights,
okay.
sewer?
this is for
That's
our
it.
protection, this
Yes.
cost is not on the homeowner or
No,
the
it's-
property.
no.
But
No.
let's say they did it, right, and they didn't call 811,
They get themselves in trouble.
right?
And they
Yeah,
get Maine, they have to
yeah.
pay for it.
Big fines, big fines.
Well, they're supposed to have a permit anyways to do any of that, correct?
Yeah.
Don't they?
Really quick though, as far as the transfer goes, do we have any more questions about the transfer itself?
No, but I have another
Okay,
question.
all right,
Gotta
good.
do it.
All right,
We have
great.
to do
One
it, but I mean,
There's New
holy
Hartford,
cow.
Rome, Yorkville, New York Mill. Do they all have their own department?
So,
That's a good question.
2 examples. The water board has 3 people that do their own. 3 people on staff that do their own.
The water board, the municipal, so they go around to each town, village, and city and mark it off?
The town of New Hartford,
They do their own digging, no,
Yeah.
only when they do their own digging.
Yeah, just the water, right.
so town of New Hartford primarily has sewer. They don't own their streetlights yet. They do own their traffic lights, and they do have some stormwater, but not a lot. So they don't have a lot to check for. They have one person that they utilize, their deputy, Chris Moran, who goes around and does it.
Okay, so if we didn't go into this program with NIPA, and we own the streetlight now, then National Grid would be in charge.
No,
No?
we would still have to do this. Here's what
We-
happened.
we-
It's real
Does
simple.
Rome do it?
We were not in compliance with
What
state
does,
law.
what does Rome do?
That's the bottom.
I
Let-
don't know what Rome does.
We
Okay,
weren't, we
we-
weren't.
They do it.
let's find out what they
Every
do.
municipality
Let's see if they sub it out, or if they have members.
The mayor's making steps to make sure that we
A
don't
year?
have to pay the $25,000.
25,000
a month.
25,000, that's 300,000 a year.
He is going to make sure he resolves this, and hopefully we'll have a couple employees. We could probably hire 2 people.
I mean,
Well, it's
why don't we regionalize
300,000
it?
a year.
If we regionalize it, then we're fine, and we don't have, everybody will put in a share, and we'll
But it's
have a
state
group.
law that we have
to
to
do
do
this.
this, or we get fined per day. And Heather, what is it per day fine, do you remember?
I don't, but it's
It was
significant.
very stiff.
25,000 a month
But
is
let me ask
300,000.
this, with this 125, or 150, 125,000, now, what's the average benefits and salary for a full-time employee?
No, that's what I was saying. A loaded employee, just figure if someone's making 75 a year, that's usually somewhere between 120 and 135,000
With
dollars.
benefits.
And they're gonna be, remember, they will be
One
going,
person.
Yeah.
they will be going out late nights, and they will be
Around
doing
clock
weekends.
24/7.
It's probably a nice job to have.
So everybody okay with this?
But
Yeah.
the
All right,
transfer, yes,
let's-
but we
let's
should
move-
be looking at
Let's
this.
move on. We got the transfer, let's move on. We got the transfer, move on. All right, transfer of funds, fiscal, sewer judgments and settlements, capital outlay, the sewer judgment sum of $102,000. Everybody okay?
Yeah.
All right. Resolution to maintain highway lighting for PIN, Bag Square, Harbor Point, Pedestrian Way. Any issues?
Did we find out any type of warranty on what the state did, or who they used, or anything like that? Because we're in charge of that. Did Mahoney get a chance to find out?
He did not tell me, but he did ask that question, so
Yes,
that's my
because
fault.
you know and I know that
Yep.
municipalities do not communicate.
Yep.
This is a resolution, so it has,
No, what I'm having is that we're in charge of the lights and
Yes.
the maintenance. When you bid it out, they usually have a warranty on it. So if the state's got a warranty on their bid, then we'd like to transfer it to us and make sure we get the same people. the
Yeah, I
same
believe
warranty.
the lights were Philips, the actual light
They
bulbs
got a
that
certain
were
longevity.
installed were Philips, and, I don't know what they guarantee them for. I know that they're expected to last 15 years.
Okay.
But I will do an email first thing in the morning to make sure you get an answer, because you did ask me that before, and I didn't get it.
Please, thank you.
Yep,
Heather, I had a question on something on that as well.
okay.
You know where they put the new walkway, the bridge over there going over the railroad tracks? It cuts off, and they got the sidewalk there, the brand new
Yes,
sidewalk.
going right up here in North Utica.
Right in North Utica.
Yep.
And they got these little black stanchions about this big, they go all the way
Yes.
up across. Yeah, but they're like a half a foot from the road. Who's responsible then? Because I foresee that the snowplow is gonna take every one of them out this year. And my son does land development. And when he saw that, he was astonished, because when they put those in Washington DC, where he used to put them in, he said they had to be at least 3 feet from the curb. And they don't get anywhere as much as snow as we do. So
I
he
will-
says that's gonna be a total mess when they,
I will tell you that we're in charge of maintenance.
Yes.
So that means the shoveling, the sanding, the landscaping, once the state put it in.
they're only this far from the curb.
This past winter, I called many a times because we'd had a storm and people were walking in the streets.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So this past winter, the state still was responsible for it, but it was getting switched over to us.
But
So
they're,
that-
all
so
those
yeah,
black little barriers that go up?
Right.
They're like literally 6 inches from the curb.
Right.
They're gonna get destroyed this winter when the snow plows and everything gets on them. I think that's something that, you know, if we're responsible for them, we need to have the state,
That's the state route, the state plows it or no?
well, I don't know.
No, we do.
If it's our bridge, you know, if that bridge is going over, over North
No,
Utica,
I-
we're gonna get killed on those.
Actually, North Genesee, the state plows.
State plows North Genesee.
North
Okay,
Genesee.
so
My-
let me,
I have a question for the council, and it's really directed to Heather, if you may know this. If this is not passed now, it's not passed, can this pass in August?
that's up to Stephanie.
I have no problem with this. Why, you guys want to?
Okay, if you guys are good, then let's do it. But if you
Well, I
had
just
some
want-
serious questions, I was gonna say you could put them in committee.
That's
But if
something
we gotta
should-
move them, we gotta move them.
Right, I think it's something we should address to the DOT about how they put those in there, and are we responsible if our plows hit them?
Well, I will
It's
do
our
an email first thing in the
responsibility.
morning to Mike, and I will copy the entire council and get an answer to the question.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, that's our, it's from the way they explained it to me, that Jimmy Percola explained to me,
Yeah.
once they signed it over to us, we're responsible
Yeah,
for all
it's
of
gonna
it.
be, I'm telling
Yeah,
you, those,
that's- Am I correct, Heather?
Yes.
those are gonna go down like
Okay.
bowling pins.
Right.
okay.
The whole thing
All right,
is set.
resolution maintain highway lighting, we got this one already, number 12.
12, 13, 14, 16.
All the same.
Yep.
14, 15, authorize the sale of wine and beer, Lady of Lourdes. Everybody good?
Bazaar.
All right. Ordinance authorize the sale of various obsolete city-owned vehicles, which we have an updated one, it looks like.
Yeah, good.
We do, everybody good with that?
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we're taking this old one out.
Authorize adjustment to the 2021-22 solid waste service charge. I've got the list. User fee and amount adjusted to. Looks like they're all the same.
And they gave you this?
No, one's different. One's different.
What do you mean, one's different?
I see one goes from 172 to 86, another one 172, 86.
That's the amount adjusted.
Yep, that's what I'm saying, but you got
Yeah.
the user fee and an amount adjusted, so nothing's really changed except for a couple of those.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think some of them are full refunds, some of them are not.
Those people don't pay anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay? All right. Authorize the sale for the Utica Zoo Brew Fest,
Yes.
August 7th. Okay, we're good?
Bit of wine.
All right, this is one we really gotta think about.
You don't go to those things. You don't go to
All
those.
right, resolution approving
Bring my
and endorsing the Munson Williams Proctor Institute application for New York State Loans and Community Renewals for, apply for $396,000 financial assistance in 2021. Any questions on that, any issues? All right.
I just want a few points of information. So this is 503 Henry Street. Could you say something more about the public access studio space that you're planning on developing there? You're okay.
Hi there. So, yes, this work is going to be done in 3 stages. The first stage is already done. It was an architectural assessment of the space. Stage 2 is to stabilize the space, so it's going to be a while before it's open to the public. Stage 3 is when we're going to do renovation. It's an expensive renovation, but when it's complete, the first floor of that will be gallery space that will feature the work of our artists in residence and students at the Pratt MWP program.
Okay, so gallery space, not studio space.
Both.
Okay,
There'll be studio space as well as gallery space
Okay.
and residential space upstairs.
okay. And you're asking, this grant is for which one of those 3 stages?
This grant is for the second stage, so it's to stabilize the property.
Okay. Okay, thank
All
you.
good?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Is
Thanks.
this similar to, is this gonna be similar to like the art space aspect?
Well,
This is part of the college.
I know that, but I'm saying, is it kinda like the same project?
it's not, I'm going to assume that the residential space is not income dependent, whereas art space is for low income
Well-
housing for artists. And also, it's for temporary. It's for artists in residence who come for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's resident space for the visiting artists who come to the Pratt Institute.
Okay, and it's market rate?
It probably actually will be
Free.
free to the artists that are coming.
Yes,
It'll be
it's
part
It-
of the
it's a
offer.
way-
So there are ways to have housing options for middle income people.
It's
You
a,
answered my question.
it's a
Well,
way
this is
to
part of-
attract,
This is part of Pratt.
it is a way to
Yeah.
attract artists in residence to be willing to come,
Right.
spend a year at the institute, sharing their talents with your students.
I'm with it. yeah.
Correct?
You have to become an artist.
All right, number 28, establishing the Utica Film Commission, Regional TV and Film Offices Commission.
We're,
I do have some questions
We're
about
good,
this.
yeah. We're gonna start film. We're gonna start
So,
film with the next start.
really? Okay.
I just have one question, is, this, well, 2 questions. How is folks gonna be able to be a part of this? Like, I didn't see Uptown or something a part of this with the film aspect. And the other question, it could because I didn't see it, but is this gonna be a paid position?
But
No.
Mike, can you talk a little about it, because you're pretty much driving this?
Yeah, I can.
Explain it.
So this is part of a longer-term effort. The Stanley Theater, MVCC, even Clinton Arena, for example. If you go to the New York State TV and film, you Google like ESD, TV and film, you'll see that there's qualified production facilities in our area. Obviously, the Stanley Theater is one of them. That's the most turnkey within a 100-mile radius of all the usable production facilities. So the other piece of that is each region, if they'd like to be listed as a regional film office, they have to have a, quote, film commission. ESD doesn't really have any, for that matter, regulations on the film commission themselves. However, a film commission has to be formed through the municipality or as a 501 and has to provide free referral services for any movies and or production facilities that need to be used, or production companies that want to come in. So if they need lodging, G&E type equipment, anyone. So this is specifically been structured so that it's the most simple version of a film commission that could exist. There's a film commissioner, and then there's 2 other members on this board. One is the business agent, and the reason people aren't named is it's so that if anyone who is in that position is there, they will be on the board. So if a production a production company comes in, they typically are going to need to talk to a business agent with the stagehands union. They're going to want to talk to one of the QPF executive directors, which the Stanley would be our home QPF. And then they're also going to need the film commissioner type referral services for scouting, et cetera. So that's all happening right now as we sit. This just formalizes it in the most simple format so we can be listed on the website. Because right now, we're not on the website. If you go look at it, we're providing probably one of the most thorough programs under New York State TV and film upstate right now, and we're not allowed to be on the website because we don't technically have a, quote, commission. So this just formalizes it, puts it together. That's all it is. It's real simple.
And it's the most bare-boned version of a film commission we could have, and we could build it out later if we needed to. Correct?
I just
Right.
wanted to make sure the commissioner wasn't paid.
What's that?
I just wanted to make sure the commissioner wasn't paid.
No one's paid. And the services rendered by the commission cannot be paid for. It all has to be referral services at no cost, to be listed on the state website.
Cool.
All
All
right.
good? All right, number 29, endorsing application for 239 Genesee Street for New York Main Street program. That's the,
Mayoral building.
that's the mayoral building for $500,000. Any issues?
Is Mr. Thomas here? We don't have
Well, he's
WebEx.
not here.
Well, there's two pieces.
And we,
You got the other one, the Uptown Theater and this one, they're both applying for the same one.
right, and, well, and so is this is the third.
Third.
Right, this is the third, because the Munstitute is the same. So who owns the Mayrow building? Who's applying for this grant? Those are my questions.
Okay, do you happen to know, Stephanie?
I do not.
Okay, I will step out after this meeting and get the answers to your questions.
Okay,
So
For the
can I,
Official owner, and what was the second question?
so who owns it? Well, what else did I just say? Who's applying for this, on whose behalf are we applying for this?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's the same.
okay, right.
can I ask a question on this, or just explain something to me? So, you mentioned there's 3 properties now that are applying. One is
The Uptown Theater that we,
Munson Williams,
and
here.
this.
Okay, so when they apply and the state just decides, or we have the authority to say, you can't apply?
That's what you're giving us.
That's true.
We have the authority to deny, we've already granted the Uptown
Right.
the authority to apply for the grant. We're
Right.
now being asked to grant the same authority to I guess, the city on behalf of the Mayrow building, but I don't know who owns the Mayrow building, and the Munstitute.
Okay, so if there's, all 3 of them, and we can approve all of them, they go there, the state
State says yes or no.
And then the state decides, yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is there, the amount, is it split 3 ways? If one,
Depends on the state, on the validity of the project.
They're all separate. They're all,
no, that's what I wanna know, so.
Councilman, they're all separate, and they're voted on by their merit. So if the state feels that this has the merit, they'll fund this one.
Community merit.
They're all separate applications for different things for different reasons. So this may get it, we may get none of it, or it may all be funded, or it may
So-
be none of it.
And again, I'm just asking, I think they're all 3
Yep.
are, good endeavors, but is it better off that if we looked at 1 out of the 3 is strong? Are we hurting the other,
So-
are we hurting that one strong
But
person?
you're being,
Can I throw a point of order
But
in there,
we-
Councilman,
Yes.
Minority Leader? This was discussed at length at the prior meeting, and this entire conversation, when we endorsed the application for the Uptown, Commissioner Thomas, we all conversed with him, and he discussed the fact that, there's another one coming down, and
Okay.
everyone sat here and did say, look, we are going to do both, and all of these same details Heather is outlining, we discussed. The fact that,
Not Munson
Well, no.
Williams was,
That
no.
one's a surprise,
That-
to me at
right.
least.
that-
Right.
Okay,
Okay, I mean, hey,
Yeah.
Give everybody
coming out of our pocket.
right, I don't have,
No,
I
it's
don't have a
not.
problem, I'm just asking a question.
what I mean, it's been answered.
All right, number 30, Celeste, you're rescinding limited parking, then you go to 31.
Careful, changing parts.
Yes, well, I asked the police to do a survey, they did a survey, it's a very narrow street, people were parking on both sides, and the police came to the conclusion that emergency vehicles would not be able to get by when people are parked on both sides of the street, so this and also that the legislation we currently have doesn't match the signage, so we need to do some rescinding and then some new legislation. Your timing could not be better.
All right,
So we're going to be both rescinding and then having some new legislation for lie in place. But the judgment of the Traffic Safety Division was that that street is too narrow to allow parking on both sides.
okay, everybody good? All right. Number 32, authorizing the sale of wine and beer Handshake City for September 18th. Any issues? Okay. And then number 33, authorizing sale of beer and wine at Woodland Farm Brewery,
Beer, beer, beer.
Handshake City again, there it is.
They like to drink beer.
Wine,
Dig it
wine,
up.
wine. Summer is the
Any
season.
other issues before we close it?
Mr.
I-
I need to leave after I get the answer for the councilwoman on the ownership. Is there anything anybody would like to ask me about anything else?
Members, the 3 facilities that applied for this grant, did they apply development and then get denied, and so now they're trying another source? I'm just asking.
Well, the Uptown didn't because they're not within that map.
They aren't. And
I didn't know.
the Stanley was funded for a
Got
park.
confused and it just
Yeah,
tried.
they were funded for a park, the Stanley, but not the Stanley,
Once in a while.
Munson Williams. As it relates to the Mayrow building, I believe, I will get an answer on that too from Brian Thomas when I call him.
Just curious.
I think they might have applied and didn't get it, but I know there was an issue of just the closing of the deed and all of that, so I'll have to.
So I mean, before you go out and try to get the answers to those questions I asked, I guess I'm just wondering on whose behalf are we authorizing the grant, the Mayrow building? I don't have any issues with the Munstitute, but, I mean, are we authorizing people to apply for a private, for-profit developers to apply for a state grant? You know, as opposed
could
to a
call-
nonprofit, as opposed to an arts
Well, it's
institution?
really not in our lane.
That's
Yeah.
not our lane.
Yeah.
We're going way out of
If-
our
We're trying to
lane.
fix the buildings.
If
and
we
we're
want
trying
to,
We're trying to get money to fix it.
we could
Right.
call Chris Lawrence.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could call Chris Lawrence if you'd like.
Well, I'm gonna call Brian Thomas.
Okay, one of the
This
others.
was his
Okay.
project. Yep.
I hear you.
All right, folks,
Yeah, no,
before we.
just-
take the
No,
motion
it's all
to
right.
shut the meeting
We're in
down-
no hurry, hang on.
No. Is it okay if Michael, the president, was and drives the properties tonight since we're so
Yeah,
many
he
of
gets
them?
this
There-
package, we get this package.
All right,
Okay.
Aren't there even more than just the properties that he could drive? Isn't there a lot, like,
that's all right.
We'll just do these.
We'll get through them.
We'll get through.
We'll get
okay,
through 'em.
okay,
All
okay.
right, make a motion to secure the caucus. There you go.
Okay. 14th, 2021. And we're calling this meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Burmaster, Friend, Miola, Moody, Beatrice, Williamson, Lemetico, DeBringo, Galimi, 9 present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for the deceased members of the council. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We don't have the electronic version of our packet on the monitor today, but has anyone reviewed the minutes, which are posted to E-Code 360?
Yes, I'd like to move that we waive the reading of the minutes, please.
We have a second from Williamson. Any opposed? Okay. The minutes have been accepted and the reading has been waived. Next order of business is public hearing. We, in fact, have no pieces for a public hearing this evening, so the public hearing is now closed. We don't have any common council guests this evening, so we're going to move on to public comment period. We do have some people signed up this evening. The first person I'm going to call is John Murphy from Munson Williams. You've been provided a copy of Section 3244 Public Comment Period Rule. Are you in agreement with this?
Yes.
Please state your name and you may begin.
My name's John Murphy, and I'm Director of Development newly at Munson Williams Proctor Arts Institute, and I'm just here to say thank you for passing the resolution earlier to help us with our application for funding for 503 Henry Street in Utica. It's a great property, it's a really unique building, and it's a great opportunity for us to build our program. So I wanted to thank you for your support. And though she's not here, I wanted to thank Maria McNeil for presenting the ordinance.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Just a point of order, it was stated that we passed it earlier. That was the pre-meeting conference. It's on the agenda this, for your vote. Thank you. All right. Scott Murray, please approach. You've been provided a copy of Section 3244 Public Comment Period Rule. Are you in agreement with this?
I am.
State your name and you may begin.
All right. Hello, my name is Scott Murray. I'm a 4-year resident of South Utica, and I'm here today to introduce the newly formed South Utica Advisory Committee. So back in May, myself and 4 others decided we were going to found a committee which was aimed at improving the quality of life in our community by connecting our neighbors with our elected officials and government in order to form opinions on problems that might be facing the people or constituents within the 3rd Ward. As I mentioned, we formed in May. We meet the first Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. at the other side at Cafe Domenico in South Utica. We had 5 founding members, myself included, and we have 2 for our next meeting that are up for confirmation, so we'll have 7 people on the committee. These committee meetings are open to the public. When we started in May, unfortunately, COVID was still a thing, so we really didn't have a lot of public participation other than Zoom. I don't know about you guys. I'm sick of Zoom. I'm so happy we can have people in the same room and have face-to-face conversations now. With that said, the public participation is growing. People are bringing concerns from the community to us. Obviously, we're not a legislative body. We can't pass laws, but what we can do is have discussions around the problems and form opinions on what we think the solutions are. So with that said, we did have a meeting on July 1st. During that meeting, we passed 7 resolutions. So a resolution for us is just an opinion of the committee. 6 out of the 7 of those resolutions actually were directly related to issues in our community, whether they were parking issues, signs that were missing type of ordeals, or we even had some discussion around, the memorandum of agreement with the Mohawk Valley Health System parking garage. So lots of discussion. We're a little different than how the Common Council operates as far as public comment. So during the course of our business, when things are up for ultimately to be voted on by the committee, we allow public comment. It's moderated. I'm the chairman, so it's moderated by myself. We allow that public participation as long as it's on topic to the business that's being discussed. And then, of course, at the end of the meeting, we provide that open forum opportunity for people as well. And actually, during our previous open forum, we had some concerned citizens that were talking about issues that we saw in the news recently were addressed by the police department, which was really, really cool. So quick action. That's all I have. I have copies of the resolutions that we passed in our last meeting. I'd love to disseminate those to everyone. I think everyone's email address is on the website. I can email them to everyone moving forward, if that's all right. And when I say everyone, I think our common council members at large and Celeste Friend, our third ward councilwoman, would be the most applicable. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Hamza Sanana, please come forward. Thank you. Comment council has provided you a copy of section 3244 public comment period rule. Are you in agreement with this?
Yeah.
Thank you. Please state your name and you may begin.
Hi, my name's Hamza Sinanai. I'm a long-term landlord here in Utica, and I've been noticing some very disturbing things lately, and especially having to do with all the flooding. Now, Utica was having flooding issues back before the virus, and then the lockdown came, and I began noticing the airplane trails, the comm trails. I began noticing just blue skies. And take notice, the year of 2020, we didn't have that much weather disturbance. Things were calm socially, we had problems, but weather-wise, we were okay. Now, every storm seems to be more violent, and there's not like an easy storm. Every storm is knocking trees down or causing flooding, and I hope to God that there's an environmental commission, or that we're 10 years ago, during Hurricane Sandy, I came in and I wanted to talk about the environment, and I wasn't feeling like people were listening. And even 10 years ago, things were weird back then. There were earthquakes, and it was a strange time back then as well, and now things have gotten even more weird. Like, I'm shocked nobody has masks on. I still think there's a Delta variant. I still think we might be in trouble. And I don't know how all these disruptions come to an end, and I know you guys can't find the answer, but I really want you guys to, I really want to let you guys know that you're in such a good position right now, probably the best position in the entire state. Our city sits in the middle of the state, surrounded by farmland and fresh water, away from the ocean. You know, I think we could really do good in this city, and this could turn out to be a really cool place. But I fear that things might be derailed by the weather. I feel like the flooding might get worse. I feel like we might jeopardize the hospital and things, we might lose billions of dollars in investment, and I don't want that to happen. So what I want to know is, and I want you guys to know, is that I believe in you. And no matter how bad things get, we have Zoom, we have ways of communicating, we have ways of working together. 10 years ago, I really couldn't even talk to you guys. I would get in fights. I couldn't understand the ideology of what was going on in here. There were strange members of Congress, of the Common Council, that I really couldn't understand what they were talking about. But now I see guys dressed well, and I see you guys seem so much more intelligent and so much more on pace that, I'm feeling good about the situation. Only thing right now, I think Utica's gonna win. But the only thing that could get us in trouble is all this water. If there's any way you guys could keep your eyes out for the water, and I don't know how you fix that, but you're definitely gonna have to make some plans and put them on a shelf somewhere. Make some plans, talk to somebody, talk to the states, talk to some people. There's a way we could engineer the water away from us, because the problem in Whitesboro will spill over to us. We're all connected in some sort of weird way, So, I definitely hope you guys know what you're doing, because I feel like the next 2-3 years are gonna be just more disruption, more problems, but luckily, our city we're in the middle. Do you understand? We could have serious issues, man. I notice a population gain. We're gaining population. Keep your eye on how many people we have here, because I think we're gonna turn around one day and we're gonna have a city of 100,000 people again. Because I feel the coast might not be too safe. I feel like there might be more disruption weather-wise. And we're in such a good location. We look attractive to a lot of people in the state.
Hamza.
So,
that
is my
is
time up?
Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you very much.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
I wish you guys the best. There's nothing you can't do. We have internet. We have a lot of ways of sticking together and figuring things out. What happened in Texas when they had that little winter storm? Ted Cruz ran to Mexico. He just disappeared, left his people. Listen,
All right.
nobody's gonna leave. We're all gonna stay no matter what happens.
All right. Thank you
know,
very
don't
much.
abandon your post.
Thank you. Thank you. Nancy Katz, please approach. Thank you. All right, order on the floor, order on the floor. The Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period Rule. Are you in agreement with this?
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Please state your name and you begin.
My name is Nancy Ketz. I live on Kensington Drive in South Utica, otherwise known as the flooded area. The last time I came to talk to you was right after the Halloween flood, when I had $16,000 worth of damage, which was not compensated in any way. But I was hoping that things would be done, and I do want to tell you that some things were done, some things weren't. What I want to do today is tell you a few things you already know, to give you a few ideas that you might have already thought of, but also to give you a picture in your heads of something you might not have seen at 4 o'clock in the morning the past few nights when I was obviously sleep deprived and out on the street assessing the situation. I want you to just get a little bit of an understanding of that. I know that the flooding isn't just me and my house and my neighbors. It's all over the county. It's all over the southern tier. It is a problem. On Thursday night at 10 o'clock, I was watching TV until I heard my pump going again. And in a way, it's good when the pump is going. It means that it's working, but it also means that I'm starting to get a few inches of water in my cellar. It's not coming down from the street. It's coming up from the drain. So I went out into the street to see what it looked like, and we had a block party. A few of my neighbors were out there also, ankle deep in water, talking about how much water they were getting in their houses coming up from the drains. The drains, the water coming down the street is like a river, and it's not going into the drains because the drains are full and overflowing already. The drains aren't taking care of draining the water. So it cleared by 1 o'clock in the morning. My pump was done. Thank goodness it was working. And I got a couple hours of sleep. The next morning, I phoned DPW. They were very polite to me. Sunday morning, coming back from church, I saw a DPW guy on my street. He was lifting the covers off the manholes and examining every one of them. He showed it to a few of our neighbors. It was spotless down there. The water had finally cleared. He said, we're okay for a while. So I went to sleep that night until 4 o'clock in the morning when my pump went off again. And I'm a heavy sleeper. When I hear my pump, it is loud. I looked in my cellar. I had 4 inches of water again. Like I said before, not as bad as it was with the Halloween flood, but it's still 4 inches of water, and it wasn't getting any lower because my pump was going at full capacity. I went back out into the street, and I want you to picture this. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm fully clothed because when it rains, I don't wear pajamas anymore. I wear street clothes in case I have to evacuate at any time. 4 of my neighbors were out on the street again, ankle deep in water as it came down the street like a river. I walked to the corner, Kensington and Oneida, and I met a police car there. They were there. They were watching out for traffic. They were closing down the road. They were making sure that no cars were going to be in trouble. The police department was doing their job. In the culvert, just like I saw 2 men 2 nights before with shovels, now they were there with a backhoe, and they were cleaning out the culvert area. So the city crew was there. The fire department was going house to house wherever anybody called in so that they could pump people who didn't have their own pumps. So the city is doing their job, but what they're doing is a Band-Aid to the problem because it's not going to get better. It is going to get worse. And if something isn't done, you're going to have, just like the man before me said, there's going to be a major emergency that's going to affect bigger and bigger portions of the city. It's going to continue, and we can't just keep putting a Band-Aid on it. If anything, maybe we need to hire a few more people in the city to help keep up with things, especially when it's 4 in the morning. But I'm not blaming the city workers at all because they're doing their job. I'm not blaming just Utica because the water coming down our street is coming down the hill from New Hartford. I drove through Washington Mills. That road is crumbling away. I know that Whitesboro is having different issues. It's the whole county. So what I have is a couple of ideas. First of all, I don't know how you're using your stimulus money, but consider the infrastructure. I don't know if you're considering state money, talking to the governor, getting a state of emergency from the state to bring in more money to fix the problem. There are grants. You can always get money from grants. I'm sure the city has some grant writers. I wouldn't know, but I trust that you do. I appreciate the workers who are cleaning out the drains, but my final question I have for you is this. What is your plan? Do you have a plan not for a Band-Aid solution, but for a permanent solution? Do you have a plan to start making a plan? Are you working with other municipalities outside of Utica so that you might be able to collaborate on the problem? Are you talking to state or federal about this? Do you have some way of compensating the people who are over and over and over having problems? I'm on my third water heater in 4 years. This one, I paid the extra $3,000 so I could get it wall mounted. At least it's above the water level now. But I just want to know, what is your plan, and will you be having a plan ready for us? Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Ron Vincent. Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244 Public Comment Period Rule. In agreement with this?
I am. Thank you. I just want to continue on with the flooding issue. I've been here the last meeting talking about it, and everybody knows what's happened in the last few days. I sympathize with the poor people over in Whitesboro. I sympathize with the people in Westernville that had a tornado. But this has got to be remedied, and there are remedies out there. Every day I read the newspaper, I listen to the radio, and I watch the news on TV. And all you hear about is Sequoia Creek, Sequoia Creek, Sequoia Creek. We're in a valley, the city of Utica. There's a mountain on the north side of this city that's just as big as the one on the Sequoia side. And there's all kinds of flooding. North Utica got nailed pretty good the last 3 days. I've had the DPW at my house for the last 3 days with rented equipment, digging out the creek, removing crap and dead trees and everything. It's not just a Utica problem. Today I was listening to the radio. They have a county executive on there talking about $30-some million to build all these leaching fields and everything to displace the water. But he never mentioned anything about Deerfield or the north side of Utica. They haven't even been over there. I've challenged the county executive to come to North Utica. I will walk through them, and Joe Beatrice will go with us. See the problems we have over there. My creek is next to the real creek, which is a humongous river. Mine is the largest creek coming off of Smith Hill. And every time I go out there, even the guys from the DPW were telling me as they were pulling out trees that were this big around and 25, 30 feet long, that these trees have been laying on the ground for 20, 30 years. That's how dead they are. Why hasn't somebody in Deerfield and controlled or led by the county of Oneida taken care of this stuff and cleaned it out of the creeks instead of letting it come down to Utica to go through small pipes? I know this isn't something you people can do. It's not part of the Utica Common Council's other agendas, but any support you people can do, let's get together with the county. Let's challenge the county executive. Maybe he can forget about building a garage for the hospital for a few months and get some money and invest it and help us clean up north side, south side, and everything else. This has got to stop. I've been going through this since 1979. I've been in Utica since I was a kid at 1956. I've seen all kinds of heavy rain, but it's getting worse. We are going through some sort of a climate change. Sometimes our winters are a little bit worse. We're getting a lot more rain in the summer and spring, but we can't control God, we can't control Mother Nature, but damn it all, we can control, with the help of the county, the town of Deerfield, and all the surrounding areas, clean these damn creeks out up in your area so the stuff stops flowing down into the city. Thank you.
Thank you. The final speaker this evening will be Pastor Eddie Mims, if you come forward. Thank you.
Good evening,
Com-
everyone.
Yes, the Common Council provided you a copy of Section 3244 Public Comment Period Rule. Are you in agreement with this?
Yes,
Thank you. You may begin.
you're welcome. Our plight over at 1108 Court Street at the Metropolitan Missionary Baptist Church has been one that's been ongoing. We've petitioned the City Hall, the Mayor, Historical Society, Landmark Society for some help to repair our roof. About 7 years ago, we employed Mohawk Valley Renovation Society to do the roof. Put out about $12,000. He botched the job. The eaves overhanging were taken away. He said he consulted, but it wasn't necessary to be there. We had more damage in our dining hall, which is the largest dining hall in Utica, in the church, and it is now demolished. Ceilings are falling down. We had water intake. Our oldest chairman of the Deacon Board, Sam Morris, if it wasn't for his expertise and knowledge about how to repair a lot of water damage, we had some serious water damage that erupted all of our heating systems this winter, and we were left stranded, and by the grace of God, we got through with a little help from one another, but we're mostly 60 years old plus. We're an older church, but trying to function on the west side to offer our services to whoever needed. And we've been petitioning places like Walmart and other establishments to assist us by making donations since the pandemic. My wife, one of the treasurers of Metropolitan, have filled out forms online and got no response. I've inquired about grants. Apostle Steele O'Miller, and I believe it's Eagle Street, she knows how to write grants, but we haven't got any assistance from anybody. We haven't had any unity of the faith of those who say they believe in God and trust in God. We haven't gotten support from anybody in the city. I've been here numerous times in the mayor's office. Just recently, I showed him the pictures that I have developed at Walgreens to show the seriousness of the roof, that we have water coming inside. Like some of us have water coming in our houses. It's coming through our roof. And I don't know how long it'll be before the building be condemned and we can have service there, but we need some immediate help. And that's the reason why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the speakers this evening. This concludes public comment period. Next order of business is communications from the mayor. We do have a letter from the mayor's office to the common council. This is in the mayor's words. I wanted to take an opportunity to commend the outstanding work of city personnel across several departments in response to the recent windstorm and flooding. The city's police, fire, public works, parks, and engineering departments have worked collaboratively and proactively to minimize the impact of rain we received earlier this week and helped residents whose homes experienced flooding. The same departments were integral in protecting the public and addressing the impact of the windstorm the city experienced several weeks ago. In addition to city personnel, I thank Oneida County and its Department of Public Works for providing its personnel, trucks, and equipment to assist city crews in cleaning up the areas of the city that were impacted most by the storm. This is an example and testament of how governments should work together for the betterment of our residents. My personal note is this does echo some of the public comment, so hopefully we can continue that work. All right, that concludes the mayor's message this evening. Reports from the city officers. Corporation Counsel, you have anything this evening? All right. Deputy Chief Noonan?
Nothing to report.
Chief Noon? Or
Nothing.
Assistant Chief Noon, sorry.
Nothing to report.
Thank you very much. The budget director was here earlier and had to leave. All right, that concludes the city reports. Thank you very much. Do we have any cash reports? Miscellaneous communications.
Yes, the City of Utica cash report for June 2021 is $59.076 million received and filed.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, before we go to petitions, remonstrances, and appeals, I would like to request a motion from the floor to move all of the URA property resolutions and ordinances to the floor so that we can move through them.
So moved.
Who was the motion? Celeste? Williamson's the second. Any opposed? Okay, I'm going to move through the packet for the URA property sales at this time. The first resolution is calling for a public hearing on the sale of 717 Blandina Street to Luis Enriquez for $500. Your votes on the resolution calling for the public hearing.
8 yeas adopted.
The second is Ordinance 4, sale of 717 Blandina Street to Luis Enriquez for $500. Is there a motion to place that in committee? We have a motion from Miola, second from Beatrice. Any opposed? It's in committee. Resolution 5, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 211 James Street to A&D Investment LLC, Juan Carlos Bayars, for $18,000. Your votes. You moved them all. They're all here. We're good.
You're supposed to second it, but it's okay.
Good.
8 yeas adopted.
Thank you, Councilman Miola. So, just so we're clear, we did go over the entire packet of all the URA property sales, and there was a motion to move all of these to the floor and seconded, so we can move through them individually without an individual motion per. All right, thank you. All right. Ordinance 6, sale of 211 James Street to A&D Investment for $18,000. Is there a motion to place that in committee?
Yep.
All right. Second from Beatrice. Any opposed? It's in committee. Resolution 7, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 319 Lansing Street to Arlington Carbajal for $16,000. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
All right. The paired ordinance number 8, sale of 319 Lansing Street to Arlington Carbajal for $16,000. Motion to place that in committee?
Motion.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Williamson. All right. That's the first one I heard. All right. Is there a second? We got Miola for the second. Any opposed? Corporation Counsel, did you have anything, or was that just? Oh, I thought you were. All right. Resolution 17, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 1111 Warren Street to Mohawk Valley Group, Esteban Bueno, for $250. Your votes. Moody? Thank you.
8 yeas adopted.
Okay. Ordinance 18, the sale of 1111 Warren Street to Mohawk Valley Group for $250. Is there a motion? We have a motion from Miola, second from DeBrango to place that in committee. Any opposed? It's in committee. Resolution 19, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 1007 Lincoln Avenue to Richard Panetta for $250. Your votes on the public hearing.
8 yeas adopted.
Ordinance 20, sale of 1007 Lincoln Avenue to Richard Panetta for $250. A motion to place that in committee. We have a motion from Miola, second from Beatrice. Any opposed? It's in committee. Resolution 21, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 128 Addington Place to Segundo Leandro Mizarumbe for $9,000. Your votes. You got this one. Yeah.
8 yeas adopted.
All right, ordinance 22, sale of 128 Addington Place to Segundo Leandro Mizarumbe for $9,000. We had a motion from Moody, second from Miola. Any opposed? It's in committee. Resolution 23, calling for a public hearing on the sale of 139 Addington Place to Maria Carangiui and Manuel Cisolima, for $20,000. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
Ordinance 24, sale of 139 Addington Place for $20,000. Is there a motion to place that in committee? We have a motion from Miola.
Second.
Second from Williamson. It's in committee. All right, that's the packet. We're going to move on to petitions, remonstrances, and appeals. And we will be moving on to the next packet, which begins with ordinance number 1. Second District. Councilman Burmaster, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to, before I get into that, I want to thank Councilman Domenico here and the police chief and the fire department and the mayor, the DPW. Last Wednesday, when the storm hit West Utica, I was overwhelmed, and I couldn't even get up and down York Street. It was I called the mayor up 9 o'clock at night. He met me in the morning with Dave Short and Mr. Lamonaco here, and
they took the appropriate steps with the county and they cleaned it up. I know it's a process, it takes a while, and I just want to thank everybody that was involved because I lost sleep over it. It was devastating, and I want to thank everybody for that. Now I have two I have one ordinance here, number 9. It's a transfer of funds of the 2021-22 fiscal year for the engineering contract 811. It's for that local law number 2 of 2007, which requires that anything over $15,000 that we need to vote on it. And the Board of Estimate and the appropriate did approve the particular transfer herein on the 28th of June. The transfer is, of course, for the $125,000 for the 811.
Okay, it's moved by Burmaster.
Second.
We have a second from Friend. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
And I have one more. Excuse me. It's proposed ordinance number 10. It's a transfer of funds from the sewer. Local law number 2, 2007 requires anything in the excess of $15,000 be set forth that we have to have a majority of all councils to approve. The Board of Estimate did approve the particular transfer on the 28th of June, and that particular amount of money is $102,000. I'd like to make a motion.
Second from Friend. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have this time, but thank you for the time.
Thank you. 3rd District, Councilperson Friend, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to note that I believe today, but it might have been yesterday and it might be tomorrow, there are approximately 800 cyclists who are going to pass through Utica. This is the annual cycle of the Erie Canal. It's been going on for over 30 years, where about approximately 800 people cycle their way either from Buffalo to Albany or from Albany to Buffalo. They alternate on each year. And they pass through Utica without stopping in Utica. I think this is a shame. I've done that bicycle ride. It's a lot of fun. We spent the night in Rome because you can camp at Fort Stanwix, and we spent an awful lot of our money in Rome because we went out to dinner. So I'd really like to encourage, when we think about things like public safety, bicycle safety, when we think about our roads, that we think about making them friendly to bicycles, because bicycle tourism is a growing part of the tourism industry. In fact, right now I challenge you to go out and buy yourself a high quality bicycle. You just can't. There aren't any available. They're 6 months back ordered because more and more people are taking up biking. I actually just finished a 1-week tour of the Maine coast on a bicycle, and we spent a lot of money there as well. So I'd really like us to think about how we organize our streets to be friendly to bicycles so that we can grab hold of some of this important tourism dollars. Like I say, they're going to pass literally through Utica without stopping in Utica. So I just wanted to comment on that, and I hope that they have a dry ride, which I know they're not. I also want to commend Scott Murray, who spoke during public comment, for taking up the suggestion that I made a few months back of starting a South Utica Advisory Board. He took it up with a great deal of enthusiasm and competence, and is actually doing with it far more than I could have really expected. Sort of my vision of it, he's really taken it and run with it, and I appreciate all of his efforts. So thank you for that, Scott. Okay, and I have 2 pieces of related legislation tonight. Ordinance number 30 and ordinance number 31. The first is a rescinding. So this is a limited parking, 1-hour parking at all times unless otherwise indicated rescinding. So we are rescinding section 2-16-364, Schedule I, limited parking, 1-hour parking at all times. This is on Lyon Place, from 3 Lyon Place on the south side to the corner of Hartford Place. We are rescinding that, so I'd like to move that, please.
Second? I've got a second from Burmaster. Votes. There it is.
8 yeas adopted.
Thank you very much. And then in its place, proposed ordinance number 31. This is ordained that Section 2-16-360, Schedule E, no parking at all times, be amended to include the following: Lion Place on the north side from Genesee to Sunset, Lion Place on the north side from Sunset to Hartford, Lion Place on the north side from 106 Lion to Lamond Place, and be it further ordained that the proper signage be erected when necessary, where necessary.
Second for Miola. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
That's everything I have this evening. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. 4th District, and President Pro Temp, Frank Miola, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to start with ordinance number 1, an ordinance to authorize the disposal of broken, obsolete computer equipment. Be it ordained, Section 7.007, City of Utica Charter, Mayor or his designee is authorized to dispose of the following equipment in whatever way he deems advisable in the best interest of the city. Such disposition may include disposal of salvage, scrap, or disposal as solid waste. Be it further ordained, the Board of Estimate and Apportionment needs to be approved. What's interesting about this legislation, guys, is that after it's sold, the disposal of it, the Board of Estimate has to come back and approve it again and find out how it was disposed. So that's something new. I like the way that's done, and that's a great operation that the Board of Estimate and Apportionment put subject to these new disposals of this equipment. Be it further ordained, the property to be disposed of is described in the following: equipment, including computers, monitors, and miscellaneous other devices, have been stripped of hard drives and memory located in the basement of the garage area in City Hall, and displayed in photos, attached memory accompanying this legislation.
Frank's moving it. Anyone seconding it? Second. Williamson. All right. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
Our next piece of legislation, I would like to motion to move.
Yes, you may ask. The council, or Council SEL has a
Yes,
question.
Your Honor.
Yeah.
It's really directed to you, Council, because you introduced this, and also have the Assistant Corporation Council. I see this paragraph where E&A is then approving the disposition.
I never saw it before.
I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, we
Where'd that come from?
Well, Your Honor, it's a new step, I guess, that E&A is doing, which it seems interesting that after the disposal of the item, it has to be notified, the E&A has to be notified how it was disposed. The mayor's got options to dispose versus scrap, resale, or any other way he feels that. But after it's disposed of, what's nice about that is that the government, the executive branch, has to notify the members of the Board of E&A how it was. And that's a new step. I never saw it before either.
Where did that provision come from?
I guess it's not a provision, be honest with you. It's not.
Well, because the county council disposes of property.
I had the same question, actually, Judge.
Where
Yeah.
did this come from?
Yeah.
It was new. When I read it, I just saw it, like, I agree with
Yeah.
you.
I'm saying to you, when I read this, I don't understand it. I don't understand how after the county council disposes of property, which as he according to you, how the Board of E&A got involved in that. You know, I've made a point of telling the councilman over and over of the separation of the powers of the Board of Estimate, especially after I wrote a memo about salaries and things like that.
May,
Make a motion to put.
may I well, hang on, we gotta do something else. May I request a motion from the floor to reconsider ordinance 1?
Okay? Second.
Okay, there's a second from Frank to reconsider that. Okay, so ordinance 1 is now up for reconsideration.
Motion to refer to committee?
There we go. Okay, any opposed?
Thank you,
Okay.
Your Honor.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, then ordinance 2?
I would motion to move the committee ordinance 2 because it has the same verbiage in it.
Okay,
Second it.
thank you. All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, I would like to jump down to piece number 16 and get rid of some vehicles, but
If
this,
it's got that provision,
I don't think it does.
okay.
Oh, wait a minute, it does say go back to Board of B&A. Well, now, I think we have to put ordinance number 16 into committee. Motion to move to committee.
Okay. It's seconded. Any opposed? It's in committee. Ordinance 16 is in committee.
Well, Mr. President, I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Thanks. And just to add to the council attorney's commentary on that, it is up to the council on whether that provision is in there or not. We could just do it the old way. We are the people passing that ordinance and sponsoring it and writing that legislation. Okay? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Fifth District, Councilman Moody, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since our last meeting, it's no question and no secret the problems that the district has been having in Cornhill. I want to first commend the Chief of Police, Deputy Chief, and all of the men and women that serve on the police department for their untiring effort to mitigate the problems of gun violence that we're having in Cornhill, and particularly but also across the city. And so July 4th was a tough weekend for the city, for Cornhill, multiple shootings, homicides, and I can't express enough my gratitude for the police department and what they're doing in our city. That said, we met with the mayor, myself, a few others, Councilman Lemetico, Councilman DeBringo, the county legislator Yvonne Urban, and others, the county sheriff. There are no easy solutions to what we're facing. It's not just here, as the governor has talked about all across the state, that gun violence and shootings and homicides are up, and there is no easy solution. So I'm saying this to say that I've heard all the calls, I've gotten them from everybody, and I'm really sending out a message to say that I'm willing to work with whoever that can bring solutions to the table. We don't have the answers for what we can do to mitigate these problems alone. But I am going to work with the members of the council. We passed the police reform plan, and I think it's time now for us to institute green light districts and see if we can make the recommendation for Cornhill to be the first green light district and increase the camera presence all along James Street and in Cornhill to help mitigate some of the gun violent issues that we're having. I don't think that will be the only solution, but I think it is strong, bold action to say we want to increase the amount of cameras in the area, and I'm willing to work with the council to make sure that we can get that done. On a lighter note, thank you to the police department again. You had a beautiful movie in Kimball Park. I was able to drive by and stop and see that. You all are working to build community presence. You have been working at that, so thank you again for all that you do. Mr. President, I have two pieces here. Very quickly, resolution number 11, resolution to maintain highway lighting for PIN 24/7, 10 Bag Square, Harbor Point, Pedestrian Way, North Genesee Street, Safety Improvement, City of Utica, Oneida County. Resolution of the Common Council of the Municipality of the City of Utica agreeing to maintain, repair, and energize a highway lighting system on or along a state highway within the geographical jurisdiction of the municipality, such as highway identified as Route 921C Corridor, County of Oneida. Is that sufficient, or do I need to read more?
Yeah, if you'd like to for each of these, read the third whereas that specifies the actual equipment we're
Oh,
taking
yes,
on.
yes, yes, I will.
And then, just so that's read into the record.
Okay,
please.
whereas the
Thank you.
state of New York has agreed to provide as part of the project the following items in connection with a street lighting system, underground duct system, including plastic conduits, wire, pull boxes, and anything necessary to complete the highway lighting system, 36 new light foundations, 36 new trailway light standards with 36 LED luminaries, 2 meter cabinets that will power the lighting system. All of the above identified items shall be and continue to be the property of the state of New York.
We have a second from Miola. Your votes on resolution number 11.
8 yeas adopted.
Thank you.
I'd like to move Resolution 12, resolution to maintain highway lighting for PIN 2805.88, ADA Improvement Project 17, City of Utica, Oneida County. Resolution of the Common Council of the Municipality of the City of Utica agreeing to maintain, repair, and energize a highway lighting system on or along state highway within the geographical jurisdiction of the municipality. Such highway identified as Route 921B, County of Oneida. Whereas the state of New York has agreed to provide as part of the project the following items in connection with a street lighting system, underground duct system, including plastic conduits, wire, pull boxes, and anything necessary to complete the highway lighting system, 11 new light foundations, 10 LED trailway lighting fixtures with LED luminaries, 1 meter cabinet that will power the lighting system. All of the above identified items shall be and continue to be the property of the state of New York.
Second from Miola.
I had a question on that. Is this the one that I was mentioning earlier, the walkway that goes over the bridge?
921B?
I don't even know what we're voting for, what specific street we're actually voting for this for.
Well, if you would like to.
And the one prior to that, I mean, we're voting yes, but I have no clue what we're voting yes for.
Well, right, so,
I'd like to be a little more specific on what we're voting for, that's
well,
all.
I guess we discussed that at pre-meeting conference, and it was suggested that if people were concerned with these, to potentially place them in committee. So, I mean, the body must make that decision right now, what you're gonna do.
I mean, I'm concerned about this 10 LED trailway lighting fixtures. Is that what's going over the bridge there that's like 6 inches from the road? That the snowplows are gonna take out, that we're gonna be responsible for to fix?
Hang on a second.
I just,
921B.
I don't know what we're voting for. And I just don't like to just, say yes on something that I'm not really quite sure.
Is there any harm in putting these into committee, doing a rescinding and putting it into committee?
I'd like to get a little more specific on these. I don't know what I'm voting for.
I'm with Councilman Lomatico.
And
Well,
I
the
just
Bag
would-
Square Harbor Point pedestrian way obviously is clear, so you already voted on that one. Do you want to reconsider it?
Well, I'd like to bring it to the head to see what those are and if we are responsible for them and how they're gonna mitigate from the snowplows knocking them down. They're 6 inches from the road, them little pins there. And I know the snowplows are gonna take them out, and we're gonna get responsible, we're gonna be responsible
Is that the
for it.
Harbor Point
I
one?
don't know. Can anybody tell me?
No, I'm asking you.
Well,
When
I'm
you were
sorry,
talking
I'm sorry.
about in the pre-meeting conference, was that the area where Harbor Point was that you were
Well, it's
talking
good,
about?
it's the point that goes over the bridge, where they put that new walkway there and the road.
Where they
that
cut it
drops-
in
So
two
that's
lanes
not the
to
one we
one.
already passed, that's my point. The one we already
I'm-
passed
right.
is Bag Square Harbor Point.
Well, that is Big Square, I mean, that bridge drops you right over, I think,
put 'em in
where
committee, like
Utica
I'm saying.
Coffee is, right?
Yeah, why
I'd
don't we
like to move
reconsider
that we
11
reconsider.
and put the block of these in committee?
Yeah, I'd
okay?
like to see what we're paying
That's-
for and what we're agreeing.
All right, so from the floor. All right, so hang on, motion to reconsider resolution 11?
I second it.
Okay, is there a second from Lomatico?
And now a
Anyone
motion to put
opposed
it
to
in committee.
reconsidering that? Okay, it's up for reconsideration. Motion to commit,
Second.
second. Any opposed to commit? That's resolution 11. We don't need to read them all. If we're gonna put them in committee, just mention the resolution number.
And I would like to see a drawing of specifically what we are voting for and
Okay.
specifically where the lights are and what we're responsible for
Oh,
here.
so-
Because with the city's always taking it on the chin from the state. The state puts these lights up beautiful lights up that we can't fix because they're like 300 feet above the street, and we're supposed to have the equipment to go up there and actually change them.
Well, this is why we were talking about this pre conference. So, clerk, can you please notify the engineering department that we would like a map to each of these specifying which pieces of apparatus are being donated, et cetera, so that the council can assess this.
I need to make a motion to commit Resolution 12.
Okay,
I'll second.
second, any opposed? All right, 12's in committee.
And 13
I'd like
as
to
well,
make a
that's
motion
right.
to commit number 13.
All
And I'll
right.
second that.
Okay, just for
I'd
point
like
of
to
order
make
here,
a
the way we
motion
run,
for 14
the way we
too.
have been running things according to our rules, Councilman Moody has the floor.
Oh, I'm done.
Yeah, okay,
Sorry. No, I'm sorry.
okay, thank you. 6th district.
I just didn't want that to get by.
second, well-
'cause I don't know what we're doing.
There's one more, so the next, we're 6th district, Councilman Beatrice, you have the floor.
Okay, I'd
Just
like to
point-
propose, the only reason I said anything, Mike, because I had, Celeste mentioned 13, I had 13
That's
and
fine,
14.
that's
Okay,
fine.
so, proposed resolution number 14, I would like to put into committee.
Okay, second from DeBrango. Any opposed? Okay, that one's in committee.
Okay, so I'd like to talk about a few things that are going on in my district right now. First thing I want to talk about is the flooding that happened last Thursday and on Sunday. I want to shout out a lot of thanks, starting with the mayor, who I was texting with most of the night on Thursday night, DPW, who came to the next morning, rented equipment and took care of, all the issues. And most of all, we talk about committees and other things that go on in districts. I got to tell you, in my district, I have a few people that I want to shout out to that are there all the time for me. During the course of that flood that night, going back and forth, texting back and forth, is over in the Locust Drive, Riverside Mall area, Chrissy Gray and Dickie Briggs. And then I always got Ron and Lucille. They're always, believe me, they keep me going round the clock. So, speaking on what Ron talked about tonight in the town of Deerfield and getting with them, I am going to try to work with my legislator, Tony Leone, to get with the people up in Deerfield. I know he's got a good relationship, and I do too, with Mr. Sacco. I believe he's the guy that's in charge there, and just to work on some things. But overall, I got to tell you, last year, the city spent close to $250,000 in North Utica alone, dredging out the creeks. And I have to tell you that we had problems because, in my mind, there's two things. The weather pattern has definitely changed, and we've never had this kind of rain. When you're getting 3 inches of rain in an hour, you're going to have flooding. And the other issue is, when you try to put water through tunnels underground, you're always going to have a problem. And that's where our biggest problem is there. But I have to say that, as bad as it was, we didn't get too many basements or major flooding like we did in the Halloween storm. So the work that the city is doing is helping. However, we need to get back there now to re-dredge these creeks so the next time we have a flood like this, we don't have the same problem. So that's all I want to say about that. There is also on Herkimer Road with the paving, the police and the state, in the city, we've got together and we're doing a temporary traffic pattern adjustment. It seems to me that it's going pretty good, but I just want everybody who's listening out there to realize it is temporary, and we will judge what happens after the 30-day period. So far, I'm getting more positives than negatives, but, we've always had a problem. You guys are probably sick of hearing about Herkimer Road since I've been here, okay? And when you make a change or you do anything, there's going to be some positives and there's going to be some negatives. But you have to take a chance and try something. You can't just stand pat, and that's what we're doing right now. And the last thing I want to say is I had a family issue. My stepfather, he has a laryngectomy and he can't talk. And on the 4th of July weekend, he was actually stranded on Mohawk Street. I want to give a special shout out to police officers Andrew Morianty and Bryce Patterson, who he was able to flag down or make a call, and they took him to his home in New Hartford, and he wrote me a note tonight telling me to make sure that I let everybody know to thank them very much. So, Deputy Chief, please let them know that. I appreciate all the work they did, and they helped him out, so I really appreciate that. That's all I have tonight, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coordinator of Council, Mark Williamson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I got one question. The grant block funding, is that still going on, or is that done for the year?
Committee.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm listening to Mr. Mims saying that he's been contacting City Hall over and over again with no response, and that's in your area, right, Bob? So I got his card. I'll give it to you afterwards, all right? So we could follow up on that, if it's not right. If he's been contacting with no response, you should get a response. So we'll make that for the record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right, I have some ordinance here. Ordinance number 15, authorizing the sale of wine and beer, Our Lady of Lourdes and Notre Dame Elementary School for their annual bazaar on Thursday, August 26th, Friday the 27th, and Saturday the 28th.
Second.
We have a second from Friend. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
And I have number 28, establishing the Utica Film Commission, a regional TV and film office and commission. Be it ordained that the Article 7, Chapter 2.2 of Utica Code Ordinances shall amend the Division 3 entitled Utica Film Commission to read as follows. A present there is not an agency, board, or commission. The city of Utica delegated responsibility of attracting and aiding motion picture and television filmmakers and producers. Is this Starsky and Hutch is coming here next?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
All right. The Utica Film Commission shall be a regional TV and film office comprised of industry professionals that works with their local and regional governments and communities to responsibility to grow film and television production across New York State. The Office and Film Commission provide referral services and assistance for location, logistics, paperwork, and production and scouting with the scope of the TV and film production sector. The Office and Film Commission shall not charge for services provided.
Second.
Yeah, you don't have to read the whole thing. Before this, your votes. Oh, yeah. Before we move on, there's multiple pieces, which we haven't gotten to. Would someone like to waive the Thursday rule for the remainder of the packet?
I'll second.
Okay, so there was a motion from Moody, even though DeBrango brought it up, if you want to reflect that in the meeting. And a second from Lumatico. Thank you. Any opposed? Okay, so it's waived the duration of the rest of the meeting. We don't have to waive it again, okay? Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, your votes? Oh, Miola was the second on that, by the way.
On what?
Mark's legislation,
Film Commission.
Film Commission.
Did we ever get a name to it?
Were you
The
at the
commission.
caucus today?
It's in there.
Were you at the caucus
Yeah.
today?
8 yeas adopted.
It's it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, A's, before we move on, I'd like to thank our new Corporation Counsel, Stephanie DiGiorgio, for working on this. This is something that we had been planning to do for quite some time. She had it assigned to her a couple weeks ago. She went to great lengths researching how all of the other film commissions were functioning in the state and helped put this piece of legislation together, and that's why it's before us today. So thank you, because this is a lot of work went behind this, and I just wanted to put that out there. All right. Council at Large, Jack Lemetico, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. This last Saturday, July 11th, I was invited by the Bosnian community to go to MVCC to walk in a memorial parade for the genocide that took place in Srebrenica in 1975. There were over 8,000 men that were gathered, and they were mass murdered right there and buried in mass graves there. It was. I spent time in Bosnia. I was in Srebrenica myself. It's a total disaster what took place there, and it's a shame to humanity. And unfortunately, it's probably going to happen again, even though we look on it and we shake our heads every time we hear about it. But down the road, I would like to. I know Marianne Buttonshawn is working on this too, is to create a day of mourning on July 11th in the city of Utica for the 8,000 men that were killed just in that one village alone in Treblinka. So again, I thank them, and I think this is going to be a yearly thing, that this memorial walk at MVCC, and I encourage anyone to, next year, to please walk with me, because I will be walking with them again next year. The second thing I had was with this, I agree with Councilman Moody on this green light district. I always congratulate the police department for the great job they did in arresting these violent acts. But then I also feel sad for the family on both sides that partake in this and that had to put up with, another death, another young man going back to jail, total family's ruined. So this is something that we got to work on. The mayor was right. Hey, listen, we've done everything possibly that we think we could do. We're running out of answers. We need some help from the community to help us. Police aren't going to do it alone. Their job is to investigate murders, to arrest the people, and to mourn with the victims. But it's the people in these communities that need to get together to help the police to mitigate this. And I hope that they do get together and delve in anything that I could help with you. And I'm sure anyone else here on this council, we would be more than happy to work with you on any legislation and within the community of how we could change things there. So I will be backing you on that green light district resolution or work there. On a better light, I'm going to be serving beer this weekend at the Manicourt Club. Come down and have a beer with me. They're having their German days there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and I'll be pouring German beer and American beer, and I'll be ready to tip one with you. So, thank you on that. All right, we'll get down to business here. First one, I'd like to move the resolution approving and endorsing the application for funding under the New York Main Street program to assist the rehabilitation of 239 Genesee Street. All right.
We have a second from Williamson.
All right, would you like me to read this?
Yes, please. You don't have to read it all.
My mouth is getting dry. Whereas the grant funding has been made available through the state of New York and administration by the New York State Office of Community Renewal under the direction of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. The funding program, New York Main Street, provides resources to invest in projects that provide economic development and housing opportunities in downtown mixed-use commercial districts. And now therefore be resolved that the Common Council has considered the proposed New York Main Street Downtown Anchor Project grant application to be submitted in the current 2021 funding round. Based on this review, the Common Council hereby supports the proposed application and authorizes Mayor Robert M. Palmieri to submit the application for consideration. Be it further resolved that the Common Council hereby authorize the mayor to enter into any and all necessary agreements upon successful award of the funding proposal.
Your votes. For a second. Oh, you got it. Okay. Thank you.
8 yeas adopted.
All right, and I'd like to, the next two sort of go on with what I'm going to be doing this weekend. The next one is authorizing the sale of wine and beer to Handshake City. I don't wonder why they gave this to me, right? Whereas the sale of alcoholic beverages and possession of an open container containing alcoholic beverages is prohibited on the Utica City streets, sidewalks, playgrounds, parks, and right-of-way by ordinance of the Common Council, except in certain instances where permission is granted by the Common Council. Now therefore be resolved that permission to sell beer and wine and exemption from the provision of Section 2-15-43 subdivision C 1, 2, 3 regarding open container and alcohol beverages is granted to Handshake City, name event downtown Get Down. Woohoo. Saturday, September 18th, 2021, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Location, Handshake City, 26 Whitesboro Street, Utica, New York, 13502.
Williams, second. Your votes.
8 yeas adopted.
And of course, the final one, authorize the sale of wine and beer to Woodland Farm Brewery. Whereas the sale of alcohol beverages and possession of an open
You
container.
can summarize that with the date of the event, the
All right.
place, and the name.
Thank you very much. Anyways, I'm going to sponsor this. Anybody like the second? All right, wait, I didn't hear it. All right. Name of sponsor, Woodland Farm Brewery. Name of event, downtown Get Down. Saturday, September 18th, from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. Location, Handshake City, 26 Whitehall Street, Utica, New York, 13502. Your votes, please. Boom.
Okay.
Eight yeas adopted.
They left you a few. Frank. Councilman at large, Frank DeBrango, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things. I listened to the speakers tonight, and obviously with the flooding, I mean, the Utica has identified where the problem areas are. We all know that. We all try and invest all our time and money in it, and I'm hoping, I know the federal government is coming down with this infrastructure plan, so I'm hoping we can get some federal dollars and target these areas that are affected, such as Oneida Street in Kensington, North Utica. Obviously, we have some problems along the Halleck Ravine, areas of that nature. So I'm sure once this comes down and we get some federal dollars, we'll be able to attack it and maybe open up these streets and open up these mains and get the water flowing properly, because our infrastructure is very, very old. There's probably clay pipes and everything else down there. So I know it's nerve-wracking. I've had a flood in my cellar as well years back, and it is nerve-wracking. You lose time and money, and it's just devastating at times. So I'm hoping that it comes sooner rather than later. So just hang in there. They're doing the best they can with what we have to work with. It's going to cost millions and millions of dollars, and obviously we can't afford it, but hopefully we get some help and we'll be able to work on the issues that we are experiencing during storms. As far as the Green Lake District, Delvin, I support that. Having our meeting the other day with the community members and the police department and sheriffs, and the cameras that are in the city now do help solve some crime, so that's a good thing. They solved one crime just by using the cameras, so that was a good thing. So I'm with you. Let's add some more out there. A lot of the people that are being shot and then the witnesses don't want to come forward. It's just we have an issue there. So the cameras would help immensely. So I'm 100% with you on that. As far as getting these young kids to maybe get in the right direction, it was mentioned maybe talking with the Utica School District, maybe having something, all these kids that are 13, 14, 15 years old, even younger, maybe having the study hall in school and maybe devote that time to having them watch a film, having them see parents grieving, having them just educate them on, gang violence, and educate them on use of guns and things of that nature. Try to make a better life for them. Maybe we could touch one, maybe we could touch 100. But I am going to reach out to the school officials, some of the board members. I talked to Delvin about it. He's on board. I'm sure my fellow council members are as well. So I'm going to try to get that done. Hopefully we'll get some cooperation, and maybe we can just kind of educate them a little bit more while they're all together. And that's when all the kids are together when they're in school, and so we can dedicate the study hall to maybe the auditorium or the gymnasium, and just show some films and show people grieving, and just not a good thing when you try to shoot someone. It's just not a good thing at all. All right, with that being said, I do have resolution number 25, which is, I'd like to bring this to the floor, which is authorizing adjustment to the 2021-22 solid waste service charge. Whereas pursuant to section 1, subdivision 12 of local law 1 of 1990, a person may appeal the determination regarding the levy of solid waste service charge. And whereas said local law further provides where an application involves the request for a refund plus interest and modification of solid waste service charge after the bill for the same has been sent, such application must be approved and disapproved by the Common Council. Resolved, the Common Council of the City of Utica hereby approves the applications for adjustment of City of Utica solid waste service charge for the fiscal year 2021-22. 2022. We have a list here, and basically what they do is they have a private hauler who they pay, so they're gonna get reimbursed for the user fees, and we'll adjust the amounts to a lot of these residents here. There's probably a total of maybe, I don't know, 25, 30 names and businesses, so I need a second on that.
Second?
We have a second. For multiple people, I'm gonna go with friend. Your votes.
It's only gonna hurt our coffers $8,600, so.
Not bad.
Lemetico, your vote, please. I think you might have turned your mic on or something.
Oh, I
There.
didn't vote on it.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
8 yeas adopted.
Okay, next up, resolution number 26, authorizing sale of wine and beer to the Utica Brew Fest. The sponsor is Utica Zoo. Brew Fest is the name of the event. Date of the event is Saturday, August 7, 2021, from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Location of the event, Utica Zoo, 1 Utica Way.
Votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
And last, I have resolution number 27, resolution approving and endorsing Munson Williams Proctor Arts Institute, Munson Williams, and its application to New York State Homes and Community Renewal for funding under the New York State Main Street Program. Now therefore be it resolved that the Common Council of Utica, New York approves and endorses the 2021 New York Main Street grant application for assistance prepared and to be submitted by Munson Williams Proctor Art Institute.
All right, votes.
8 yeas adopted.
That is all I have, Mr. President.
I've got nothing. Anyone? All right. Have a great evening. Please let that reflect that Moody made the motion to adjourn. Yeah.
Absolutely.